Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Avri Jindal. Exactly 1 year ago, Hamas orchestrated one of the deadliest attacks on Israel, firing thousands of rockets and subsequently breaching the Gaza border. During the onslaught, Hamas terrorists attacked neighborhoods and went on a rampage at a music festival, killing as many as 1,200 Israelis, injuring hundreds of others and taking over 200 people hostage, of which 101 people still await release. 42,000 Palestinians have been killed in the past 1 year. The damage to the human life is difficult to digest. Unfortunately, nothing has improved in the past 365 days. The situation is deteriorating by the minute and regional conflict risks spiraling. With Iran's 180 ballistic missile attack, the country claims that this was a revenge attack for the killing of Hezbollah chief Nasrallah. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has made it abundantly clear that this decision was a big mistake. Israel has conducted sporadic attacks in Lebanon. Not only that, Hezbollah has launched almost 130 projectiles on Israel's third largest city, Haifa. Thousands of pro-Palestine demonstrators across the world, including Jakarta, Washington, D.C. and New York, have taken to the streets in the wake of the deadly attacks on October 7th. Joining us at this point of time is a very special guest. We're being joined by Haim Etgar, journalist of Channel 12 Israel. So thank you so much for taking out time and speaking to us on NewsX. Now, 1 year has lapsed. What is it like right now in Israel?
First of all, thank you for having me. And indeed, this is a very sad, complex, and hard day for us here in Israel. As you stated, the situation is not easy, and 1 year ago it was probably the lowest point since the Holocaust of Jewish history. But and of course we commemorate all the people who have fallen. We're thinking about the kidnapped Israelis in Gaza, held in a beastly manner, civilians, women, children. And we pray for the day that they will return to Israel, return to their homes, the homes in which they were brutally taken from. But I have to put things in the right proportions. I mean, you talked about us being attacked from so many fronts, and still Israel prevails. Not only did Israel prevail the 7th of October, and this year, we started at that low point when Biden said don't. He said don't to the forces trying to annihilate Israel, meaning that the U.S. will enter the situation, the conflict, in an active manner if they will go too far. And in those words, in that plain word, don't, he actually, some people think, saved Israel. But now, a year after, he's not saying don't, he's saying something totally different. As my colleague Amit Segal said, he is saying, Israel, please stop the war, because in some ways Israel is fighting in the fronts and fighting very effectively. The Hamas has almost been annihilated. The Hamas has almost been annihilated in the south. There are barely missiles coming out of the south. In the north, Israel has done an unusual and very successful campaign against Hezbollah, almost annihilating Hezbollah. Hassan Nasrallah has been annihilated. Hezbollah senior officers were annihilated. And right now, Israel is in Lebanon working hard on the Hezbollah infrastructure. We deal with the Houthis, and now we think that the people in Israel think that the next front is going to be Iran. So things are hard, but things are better right now when it comes to the military perspective. So you are very pessimistic in the way you portray things, and I'd like to show a different angle to what's going on. And I would like to say again, this is a very, very sad day in Israel. Almost each and every Israeli has a relative, known someone that has fallen, been murdered. Our sons, our daughters, our fathers, our mothers are in the army. Still, Israel is strong. Still, we have the Israeli economical situation is is in a fine situation. Life here is going on in some matters. So we are standing tall, even though we are very, very saddened in this horrific Memorial Day.
All right, absolutely. Now, again, there are 101 hostages that still remain, they require release at this point of time. With that there in the picture, what are the demands that one would like to put forth to the Israeli government?
That's one of the big questions, and that is a very there's a lot of dispute in Israel about that fact. What should the government do? How far should the government go? Is it possible at all to release? Do the people of Hamas, the Sinwar wants to release those hostages? And there are a lot of people saying, even the American government is saying that Israel has done so much to try to release the Hamas hostages, talking about the deal, while Hamas does not want to release them. So the big question is the Israeli government doing enough, or is it at this time and at this point not possible, even because we don't have a partner for a dialogue, because they're so extreme and they know that the fact we're not actually going deeper and bombing deeper Gaza is because of those hostages. Those hostages, I think, are keeping the Israeli military to act as it did in the northern part of Israel. But right now, when it comes emotionally, this is heartbreaking for every Israeli. Every Israeli is praying, literally praying for the return of the hostages and the safety of our soldiers. It's in our prayer. So when it comes to the emotional part, it's heartbreaking. When it comes to when it comes to moving on forward in the doing it, making a deal, I am not sure that the other side wants to make a deal. Still, a lot of people in Israel think that the Israeli government should do everything it needs to, everything it can, even find themselves in a settlement with Hamas in order for those people who were taken from their homes and soldiers who were taken captive to return to Israel. And that is the number one question, I have to say. We have two major questions right now, I'd say. The returning of Israelis to their homes in the north. The north has been evacuated. And the second one is the hostages being brought back to Israel. Those are the two humanitarian issues right now that are deep in every heart of Israeli.
Right, absolutely. Now, as we speak, there is a lot of support, nationwide support, that has been put forth for Israel. With that being said, what are the demands and what is the appeal, or the message rather, that people of Israel want to put on the larger scale to the world?
Well, I think we have a lot of people who are doing it better than I am. But if you would ask me, I would say that we have proved to the world, and Hassan Nasrallah has portrayed Israel as a weak, affluent society which indulges in living and having a good time in life, and has forgotten some way to fight for their existence. And unfortunately, on the 7th of October, we were reminded here in Israel that life, which is until the 7th of October, was very good in Israel, was very good when it comes to financial matters, when it comes to high-tech matters. Israel is doing very well on those grounds. And unfortunately, on the 7th of October, we were reminded that we have to fight here in the Middle East for our lives, because some of the factors in the Middle East want us to be annihilated. And as we can see around the world, some factors want Jews to be annihilated, as happened, as we know, this happened many years ago. It actually happened to my grandmother, my grandfather. My grandfather was murdered by the Nazis. So, and in some manners, we looked at life in a different perspective, and now we're reminded that sometimes, hopefully not through all the years. We will have to fight here in Israel for our lives. And I think that Israel has prevailed and has done it in a unique manner and in great success. So a lot of Israelis would like to remind the world that we're here, we're strong, we're tough, and we are on the right side of history. By meaning, you know who's right and you know who's right, who's right and you know who's wrong when you deal with fanatics, and you can see those fanatics erupting worldwide. So we would like the world to know that Israel is strong and it will prevail and it will win this war. And the people, doesn't matter where you are, you have to think on which side do you want to be, on the right side of history or the wrong side of history. And you've checked the facts, you know who's on the right side and on the wrong side. And I think that it's very clear that Israel is the right side to be upon, the side of progress, the side of democracy, the side of sanity. And that's a message I would love your program to show to the world.
Mr. Edgar, thank you so much. I know it must have been really difficult for you to relive this, of course, the attacks that took place and have been taking place. But thank you so much for joining us and giving us an understanding on the situation on ground. I hope you and your family and all your loved ones are safe. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, we're going to leave it there. And